All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for today's VetBiz webinar, Breaking Through the Ceiling, How EOS Helps Owners Grow, Transition, and Improve Their Quality. For those that may be new to VetBiz, our mission is to empower veterans, service members, and military spouses to start, grow, and succeed in business from idea to exit. We do that through one-on-one training, one-on-one business counseling, I should say, training opportunities, and resource connections. We help our clients turn their ideas into thriving ventures. Today, we're excited to welcome our guest presenter, John Gross. He's an Air Force veteran, an entrepreneurial operating system, EOS implementer, who helps business owners create clarity, accountability, and shared vision using EOS's proven tools and disciplines. After leaving the Air Force, he spent more than 25 years leading operations, building high-performing teams, and solving complex problems in both privately held and publicly traded companies. John now works alongside leaders to help them execute with confidence, drive meaningful progress, and get the results they want from their business and their life. So that's enough of me. With that, let's welcome in John. John, you can go ahead and take it away.
Mitch, thank you very much for having me. I'll start out with everybody in that. Is there anybody here that's not dealing with a bunch of issues? 5, 10, 20, maybe 100, all vying for your attention. Yeah. And do you feel like some days like the business is running you? Or do you feel stuck or frustrated? If you do, you're not alone. The studies have shown that 95% of all small business owners report being frustrated with some element of their business. And that's why operating systems are so important, because a business operating system is intended to help you take control, deal with those feelings, and help you ultimately grow the business. And what I want to do as a way to explain what an operating system is first talk about what it is, why it's important to you, and how it helps you. And then last, I'm going to explain the entrepreneurial operating system and how it helps you take control. Now, before you all got some handouts in the email. The one is the model. We'll fill that in as we go. But I also sent out a little sheet that has issues and notes on it. You may be wondering what's the difference between issues and notes. Issues are all those decisions you need to make about your business. Notes is just everything else running around. And when you start to sort through this way, you're taking a step towards clarity, because now you're starting to identify decisions versus all the other clutter that's out there. So use that. I encourage you to use that as we go. The last thing is, before we get started, it's a little hard with everybody on camera, not on camera, but I want you to think about this. There you go. For everybody who's a business owner, I want you to raise your hand. And I want you to keep it up if you believe you can leave for a week and your team will lead it without calling, and there won't be any fires. They're going to deal with it. And I want you to drop your hand if you've ever never tested it. Yeah. So the point here is if you don't have a system, the business owns you. And that's what business operating systems are meant to do, to give you back that control, build that stronger team that helps you take control of your business, ultimately so you can take it to the next level and also create more personal freedom for yourself. Because you didn't start your business to deal with angry customers, work long hours, and not skip your kid's soccer game. But you got to do that with a process. So let's get started here. What is a business operating system? Well, I always like to talk about it's not, so we don't jump to conclusions. First, it's not a software. It is not. Oh, okay. I was going to say I'm raising my hand. I guess I won't worry about myself. Okay, it is not a software. It is not going to tell you what to do and all those things and take away all the decisions. No. It is not training. You will not be able to go to Vegas and get a certificate and a plaque for this. It is not a fad diet. What it is it's a structured framework of processes and procedures that help you organize how you want to run your business. And it's something you can explain to all your people how they do it and how you want them to do it. It's people driven. It's people maintained. And that's why in it. So why is it important? Well, first, it's fire prevention because you're going to proactively address issues. You do that by first clarifying the issues, who and what. You're problem solving. You're acting on your solutions. You're standardizing your process so you're always doing the same thing over and over again. And your people can do that and they understand what you want to do and what you need to do. You're keeping score. You know if you're winning or you're losing. If you're losing, then we now have vehicles to take action to get back on track. And all of that helps you work on your goals and create a vision. Essentially, you're systematically minimizing and eliminating those miscommunications. I thought you were doing that. Well, you usually take care of that. Reoccurring areas that, oh God, I thought we fixed that. We talked about this last week. Unnecessary tasks because we've always done it that way. Or because this doesn't work, we got to give these workarounds. And when you have those three, you're going to have production issues. And when you have all those four, you're going to have people challenges. And last, when all this is occurring in your business, your customers are going to have issues also because you're not going to hide it from them. You might think you are, but you're not. And frankly, if they're not seeing your issues, frankly, then you are driving yourself crazy, chasing them around, chasing your issues and firefighting. Because the business operating system is going to allow you to take control and grow. Because it deals with all of these issues by putting in process. Let's talk about EOS and how it operates as a business system. First, EOS is a proven process of practical tools that help small and mid-sized businesses take controls. There's no smart pills. There's no magic bullets here. It's just practical tools that we orchestrate and we execute on. It is not a software program. Okay? It's created by you, for you. It's driven by you and your people. You own your business. You need to take control of it. And that's how you run it successfully. Okay, because what it does is it aligns your teams, it clarifies roles, and it helps you consistently execute on your strategies. It creates that discipline to achieve your goals. Excuse me. It helps you finally get what you want from your business. And I want to make a point about this, just maybe drive it home. EOS is an execution system. You don't run over to your neighbor and say, look, I'm doing EOS. It's not like an Italian sports car or an expensive watch. It's not that thing. I'll tell you, if you use EOS, you probably you'll get yourself an Italian sports car, an expensive watch, but it's an execution. It's not another thing we're doing. It's how we're doing it, all the other things. So let me tell you about EOS now and how it works. The best way to do this is with a model. That model has your business at the center. And this model stems from the discovery that all small businesses are dealing with 137 issues simultaneously. And what we know is that to the extent you can go and strengthen the 6 key components of your business, those 137 issues are going to fall in place because they're really symptoms of true root cause. So when you implement EOS, you're on a journey to strengthen these 6 key components of your business. And I'm going to walk through them at a high level so you can understand the model. And then I'm going to come back and go into detail so you understand the tools and disciplines that you use to strengthen that business and achieve success, more success. First key component of your business, of any business, is vision. And it's about getting your leaders 100% on the same page about where you want to go as an organization and how you're going to get there. Second key component is people. And very simply, you cannot achieve a great vision without great people. Interestingly, every business has its own definition of great people. So when we work on this component, we got to cut through all the jargon, the A players, superstars, rock stars, top quartile, and just figure out what's great people for your unique organization. Brings us to data. Data is about using facts and figures to drive data-driven decisions versus relying on ego, feelings, and emotion that so often drive entrepreneurial decision making. And an interesting thing happens when your vision, your people component, and the data component are strong. Your business is going to become very crystal clear, very transparent, and all of the impurities, challenges, and obstacles are just going to come rising up. And that's why fourth key component is issues. And strengthening the issues component is about solving issues as they occur at their root cause and making them go away forever. And what I can promise you is this: when you start to solve issues at their root and make them go away forever, you're going to start moving towards your vision. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over again, you're going to achieve your vision. So that brings us to the fifth key component, process. Process is doing the most important things in your business the right and best way every time. What that does is create consistency. And consistency, easy for me to say, consistency allows you to create scalability. And there's a secret sauce component to a strong process component. When your people know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and they do it without you chasing them around, retraining them, telling them what to do, it's going to free you up to lead the business, grow the business, maybe go home for dinner or at the gym or something that's not work related because your people are doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, people what they're supposed to do and without you doing it for them. And that brings us to the last key component, traction. Traction is about bringing vision down to the ground, executing on it day in and day out. And it is not a coincidence that vision's at the top of this model and traction's at the bottom. Because when you have vision without any traction, all you have is hallucination. And those are the 6 key components that make up the EOS model. Again, EOS stands for Earth Orbiting Satellites. No, just, entrepreneurial operating system. And EOS will help you harmonize and orchestrate all the moving parts of your business to help you run a better business and also to live the life you want. And now what I'd like to do is just make a second pass around and go into the tools and disciplines that strengthen each of these 6 key components. First key component is vision. And the first tool and discipline we want to go through is the 8 questions. Now, there are no 75 or 100-page strategic, 3 to 5 year strategic documents in EOS that no one looks at or uses. And that we want you to go and answer 8 basic questions and that will get you on the same page as a leadership team about where you want to go and how you plan to get there. And those 8 questions: what's your core values? What's your core focus? What's your 10-year target? What's your marketing strategy? What's your 3-year picture? What's your 1-year plan? What's your 90-day rocks? What are your long-term issues? And we keep the answers to those questions on a simple 2-page document called the Vision Traction Organizer. It's a living document that you maintain and you keep. And while we're looking out at a window of, say, 10 years for a long-term big goal or a BHAG, EOS really gets you focused on crystallizing your vision starting at about 3 years, at 3 years actually, okay? Because studies have shown that most people can't see beyond 3 to 5 years. Now, people tell you that they can see out 20 years. In fact, 1 in 7 million people can see out 20 years. Okay? I'm pretty certain I'm not one of those 1 person, okay? Yeah. And what I just will ask is, to you is, what would your business look like if everyone on your leadership team shared that common vision and shared in that common plan? Now, we're a small group, but I would ask if anybody wants to share what they think. Hmm?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
What is your business going to look like if everybody in the leadership team shared a common vision and a plan?
For the newest one, I've started with a couple of guys. We're kind of back and forth. I think we've lacked some of this earlier process in organizing the company. We have an idea, but I don't think we all share the exact same plan. And we have different. I mean, everyone's coming from a different background, so we're approaching it a little bit different. I think this would help out a lot.
And that's not atypical. You all kind of are sailing in the same direction. This gets you on one course, okay, and heading. And that's what it's meant to be, and have this. This doesn't happen in a minute. This when we work with you, do it over 2 days, and we give you 30 days in between to let it percolate and ferment. So yeah, good. What if you have employees, what if all of your employees shared this plan with you? How successful would you be? How much less stress would you have as a leader? Would you have more personal time because your people are taken care of and executing because they're clear on where we're headed? That'd be powerful, wouldn't it?
John,
Yeah.
I like the definition of, and this is one of the first things I do anytime I'm working with a client as an executive coach, or any business that I'm involved with, whether it's at the department level or at the top, which is if we define a vision in 10 years or 3 years, whatever the duration that you like you're saying is stated, then one of two things is going to happen. Either this business needs to change because that vision has been met, or it is our standard for excellence that we need to continue to maintain. So, like at VetBiz, our vision is very simple. We help veterans thrive in business entrepreneurship in our region. If we're successfully doing what we do, then that means they're thriving, they're not surviving, that they're actually doing that. And it creates a level of excellence for us that we continue to
Yeah.
maintain.
No, exactly. And while you might have, and while your vision is that, I doubt it changes, but the tactics and the environment changes
Yeah.
to
It's our
help them
North
be more
Star.
successful. And that's what veterans getting out and re-engaging need,
Mhm.
is to get that lay of the land. I'm going to jump on and I'll move on here because we only have so much time. But in terms of getting your folks on the same page with you, all your employees, that's what the concept of shared by all is. Because once you as a leadership team are all on the same page about where you want to go and how you plan to get there, you need to go and get your team there too. And you need to let them see it, feel it, understand it, ask questions. And the way you do that is just get them in a room and share the VTO. And then most importantly, let them ask questions, let them become part of it. And you just don't do this once, by the way. You do it every 90 days at least, because they need to keep seeing the same vision and see how you're moving and see how it's migrating and improving and changing. But it's not a passing fad. So when we've got that, we're ready to move on to people. Strengthening the people component is about right people, right seats. Now, Jim Collins introduced us to these two terms in his book, Good to Great, and we're not disagreeing. We think you got to have both also, and we're not changing the definition. What we're doing is giving you some context to make them actionable so you can implement on them, because Jim didn't tell us, by the way, how to do this. And so, right people, right seats, you've got to have both. Right people are people who share your core values. Okay? They fit your culture like a glove. You love them. And what you need to do is make sure that everyone on your team is right people. And the way we recommend you do this with is something we call the people analyzer. And the people analyzer allows you to determine whether or not, black or white, your people consistently exhibit your core values. And that's the first thing it does. The second thing is it becomes a really great coaching tool, because now you know what to coach him on. You got Maria, and I love Maria. Maria, please never leave me. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, Jalen, Bob, I need you to step up. And here's where, okay, and how much, as opposed to, Jalen, there's just something not right. Do better. And Jalen walks away. What did they say? Well, do better. What are you going to do? I don't know. Okay, so it helps you get that going. That's the people analyzer. Right seats. Right seats are just people who are great at what they do. They have the God-given talent, the will, the desire, the ability to be great at what they do. And the way we help you do that in EOS to determine right seats is with a tool we call the accountability chart. And the way this works is, as a leadership team, you take a step back, you look down on your organization and say, what does this organization need to look like in the next 6 to 12 months to move to the next level? Not 3 years, not 5 years, not 7 years. What's the next 6 to 12 months? What's the next step? And you build an accountability chart. You're going to tailor it to your unique organization, but you're going to start with 3 building blocks. First one is, there are only 3 major functions in any business. There's a marketing and sales function. You're creating demand and you're converting demand to orders. You then have an operations function where you're converting orders to a product or a service. You're serving that customer client. Last is finance. You're managing your money. You're doing reporting. You are handling the back office areas like HR and IT. Second assumption or element of an accountability chart is we've learned that all great leadership teams have a fourth role called the integrator. The integrator is the glue, the drumbeat. They drive accountability. They are the ones that are harmonizing and orchestrating the core functions to pursue common goals. And when you're happy with your major functions and your structures, the third part of the accountability chart is we want to go and identify the 5 key roles of every leader in the business. So we are crystal clear about what everybody is responsible for. And that's the basic structure. And the way we want to tailor it is in 2 ways. The first is we want to determine what type and how many major functions do we have. And by that, I mean, we might break out marketing from sales. You might have 2 or 3 operation functions. Finance might break out HR and or IT. Now, the rule of thumb is 3 to 7, but the most important thing is that we all that we have the right structure for your unique business. I had a nursing home that had 9 major functions, and that was required to comply with state laws for the way they were structured at that time. Again, what is the right number of major functions for you? The second way we tailor this, we ask, do you have a 5th role? This is a role, I do this every time, I apologize, the visionary. Okay, this is a person flying 30,000 feet, big relationships. This is the guy that shows up with 20 ideas, 19 aren't so good, but 1 is. Okay, it's great. And they don't like to get down in the trenches. Not that they can't, they just don't want to. That's what integrators do. If you have a visionary, you got to call it out, because a visionary stuck in the integrator seat over the long term causes chaos. And so you just got to do it. And once you've figured that out, you then go about identifying the 5 key roles for the visionary and the integrator. And you want to complement each other. You don't want to have conflict, because when they are synergistically working together, we like to say is you've created rocket fuel to launch this organization. And once you're happy with this leadership team accountability chart, we now need to drive it down into every level of the organization now until we have specified the 5 key roles for every seat in the business. And when we've done that, we need to go out and put people in seats. We're going to match what they like to do, what they're good at, what they can deliver on with the 5 key roles. And if you keep applying the tools consistently, you're going to end up with everybody in the business being right people in right seats. Okay? I'm not going to lie to you. Along the way, you're going to have some pain. But you're going to find out that pain is worthwhile because of the benefits of your organization in doing this. But you'll end up ultimately with right people in right seats. And that's what you need to achieve that vision. It brings us to data. So data is about, again, breaking your business into facts and figures so that you can make objective, data-driven decisions. And we do that with a very simple scorecard, 5 to 15 high-level numbers that give you an absolute pulse on the business. And a scorecard is created by you for you. Okay? It has your measurables with those 5 to 15 high-level numbers that give you that pulse on the business. We want to set a weekly goal, because and that goal is set at a level that if I hit this week, I'm going to hit my month, my quarter, my year. Someone needs to own each of these measurables and be responsible for keeping it on track week in and week out. And we want to couple 13 weeks of data with these measurables, because we want to see trends and patterns as they happen. And because that's how you avoid dumpster fires and train wrecks. And when we're happy with this, we want to then drive scorecarding down into every level of the organization to a point where everybody in the organization has a number, has a measurable that they keep on track. That number or measurable is supporting you and your higher level connected plan. And that's how you strengthen the data component. And hopefully everybody's thinking about how powerful the tool is, and particularly when you've connected it at every level, because this gives you the power and the visibility and insights you need. That brings us to the fifth key component. Yes, Donovan.
Yeah, just real quick. So that scorecard is pretty huge and it takes a lot of effort to pull that together. Are there like a top three that they should be immediately looking at for veteran-owned businesses that
So
are
we're going
either
to tell
starting
you
out?
5 to 15. It's unique on your business. You could both be running the same business. You could have a marketing agent, two marketing agencies. It's different things based on your philosophies, what's important. Same with construction and everything. We'll have as we go through this with you and we're working through and boiling it down and getting the discussion, we'll throw out some to you. But what we don't want you to do is go to your neighbor and say, "Oh, you're a marketing company, or a carpentry company. I'll use yours," because it has to resonate with you. 5 to 15, closer to five, because you hit it on there. There is, I know one guy that had 40, but I also know that he didn't look at all 40. He used 30 of them to beat you up when you didn't hit a number. Okay. But, because you want that picture and you want people, and you also need to break it out to own it. That's how you can have 15 is no one person owns all of them. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does. I like that there's no cookie cutter. I like the bespoke aspect of it so that it makes sure that it's catered to the individual business.
No, and I will tell the advice I give my clients is if you have this, if you're using a number and it doesn't tell you anything, or you can rationalize good and bad behavior with the same number, you have to run measurable. Get a new one. Okay? Don't track it just because you read about it or somebody does it.
Very much.
So good. Thank you. Good. Issues. So the good part about smoking out all the issues in your business is there have actually only been 24 types of issues in the history of business. So you just need to really be good at seeing them and then solving them at their root and making them go away forever. And the way you do that with the first tool is an issues list. You got to get all that out of your head and onto a list so that we can solve them. And that does two things. First, we're visible, but there's also a cultural aspect to issues list. We need to get everybody in the organization comfortable with raising their hand and saying, "I have an issue, and I'm not worried about being shot as the messenger." And when we've done that, now we need to help you start prioritizing and solving these issues. We do that with a tool we call IDS. IDS is part of something called the issue solving track. IDS stands for identify, discuss, and solve. And this tool stems from the discovery that even the best leadership teams, when they get together to solve issues and discuss them, that's all they do. Discuss, 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 discuss. And that. In fact, if you really study meetings, you're going to find out they discuss them between meetings too. And so IDS helps you solve issues at their root and make them go away. And here's how IDS works. First, we go back to that issues list. We make sure we got all of the issues on that list. And then we want to prioritize top 1, 2, and 3 issues. Note I said the top 3, not the oldest, the newest, the top of the list, the bottom of the list, the most fun one, okay? The top most important. Because if we only get one thing done, we've solved the most important issue. And so when we've done that, we start IDS and we move into identify. And in identify, we're digging beyond what's written on the page because typically that's just a symptom. And we keep digging and digging and digging and digging until we hit true root cause. And then we want to briefly discuss that issue without repeating ourselves. Because when we repeat ourselves, all we're doing is politicking. And so when that discussion turns redundant, we're going to move to solve. And we're going to pick the best plan of action to make the issue go away forever. And when we have selected an action and an owner, and that is on our to-do list, we're going to consider the issue solved. We're going to do the same for the next issue, rinse and repeat. And when we have an action on our to-do list with an owner, we are going to say that's solved. We're going to move to 3, and you're just going to do that on and on. You'll get to a point where you solve 3, 6, 9, 12 issues in a setting at their root, making them go away forever. Yeah. And how does that sound? I mean, if you have issues that never go away or they just keep popping up, in it. Would IDS help you? Yeah. Nobody ever says no. Yeah. So it, that brings us to process. And here's just the truth about process or the facts. Every company has just a handful of core processes, 6 to 10 core processes that run the business. You have an HR process for recruiting people and managing them. You've got a marketing process for creating demand. You've got a sales process. You've got an operations process. You have 2 or 3 operating processes to help you create your product or service. You might have customer service and accountability. You're definitely going to have an accounting process. And what we want to do is document and simplify each of those core processes. And when we talk about documenting and simplifying your core processes, we want to take a 20-80 approach to documenting and simplifying your core processes. 20%, list the 20% of steps, get you 80% of the way there, because we know that spending the time to get 100% compliant core process done, the energy, the money, that results in a 734-page standard operating procedure that nobody uses. So we want you to get all of your core processes documented and simplified. Then you're going to go about the process of getting them followed by all. Followed by all is just very straightforward. Anybody who touches a core process gets trained, knows how to do it right. We're then going to measure and monitor them to make sure that they do it every time the right way. Last, we want to update it. So it's at least annually to make sure it's the most current, fresh process. So they're doing the right things. When we have your core processes documented, simplified, and followed by all, that's when you're creating that consistency and that scalability. Your business is easier to run. You take it from me, more fun to run. And it's going to be more profitable because you are documenting, you're using your core processes to do the most important things the right and best way every time. That brings us to traction. Traction, again, is about bringing vision down to the ground, executing on it with discipline and accountability. The reason a lot of businesses don't achieve their vision is because of weakness in the traction component. So the way you strengthen the traction component is first with rocks. Rocks are 90-day business priorities. They're the most important things you need to do in your business to remove obstacles and move towards the vision. We are going to identify 3 to 7 company rocks, again, most important things to do, and 3 to 7 individual rocks for every member of the leadership team. Ultimately, we want to drive that down into the organization so that everybody has 1 to 3 rocks. So they are crystal clear on what it is they need to be doing to help you achieve your vision and the plan that you have for the quarter. And what that does for you is create a 90-day world in your organization. And a 90-day world feels like this. Every 90 days, you're going to come out of the business, take a deep breath. You're going to look back and say, how did we do? And what did we learn? Then we're going to come and say, are we on the same page? Because sometimes we're not. And if we're not, that's okay. We're going to talk until we are. And when we are, we're going to look out and say, what are the priorities, the most important things we need to do for the next 90 days? And we're going to leave our meeting crystal clear on what are we supposed to execute on and what is the team counting on us to do. That's what that 90-day world looks like and feels like. And inside of that 90-day world, we want to help you then create a great weekly meeting that helps you get more of the right things done and get your rocks done. And we do that with something we call the Level 10 meeting. And the Level 10 meeting is based on something we call the Level 10 agenda. And the Level 10 agenda gets its name because when you follow the agenda, you bring the quality of that meeting from the typical 4 on the scale of 1 to 10 to a 10. And here's how the Level 10 meeting works. First, we're going to meet same time, same day. We start on time. Same agenda. Okay. We're going to start with good news because we want you to transition from working on the business to working in the business. We do that by round robin and at one piece of good news, personal and professional. It takes about 5 minutes. Then we're going to go and move on and spend the next 15 minutes reporting on the most important pieces of the business. We're going to review your scorecard, on track or off track. We're going to review rocks, on track or off track. Notice I said on track or off track. We're not justifying, defending, rationalizing, grandstanding, explaining, because that's how meetings get off track and become boring. Okay? Everybody has had this experience. So we're on track or off. If we're off track, we're going to drop it down to our issues list and we'll deal with it. Okay. The last part of this is we want to have customer employee headlines. We want to know what our customers and what our employees are thinking about. And here it is. It's headlines. It's not paragraphs. If we have something to talk about, we need to make some decisions. We drop it down to the issues list. And then then that's reporting. We now want to go and just have a little bit of weekly accountability with our to-do list. So we want to review each to-do on our list, open to-do on our list, to make sure it's to done. The goal is to have 90% of them done every week, nothing older than 2 weeks. And at this point, we're going to now spend 2/3 of our time, 60 of our 90 minutes together, solving issues at their root, making them go away. And when you are solving issues at their root and making them go away, that's what makes for a great meeting, a productive meeting. And that you're gaining traction. And this will easily become the most important and best meeting you have together as a team any given week, because you are solving issues together. Now, when we have 5 minutes left, we're going to conclude. We're going to identify any cascading messages, the who, what, when, and where of it. We're going to recap our new to-dos. And last thing we're going to rate the meeting from 1 to 10, because we want to make sure that we have the best meeting possible. And if it's not being the best meeting, how do we make it better? Then we end on time. We go back into the business, crystal clear on execution. And that's the tools and disciplines we use for the traction. Now, those are all the tools and disciplines we use to strengthen all of the 6 key components that make up the EOS model. And remember, we're on this journey together to strengthen them, because we want to help you run a better business and then have the freedom to live the life you choose. Any questions?
I don't think so. It's a lot of stuff to take in and obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff that we halfway do that needs to be actually implemented.
It's about those practical tools that you execute consistently. Boring meetings and boring systems are good. Okay. And because it's about using it to achieve everything you want. A lot of when I ask clients, why do you pick EOS? It's simple, it's easy to understand, and I can work through it with my everybody in my organization. And like you said, you're doing pieces and parts. It's about organizing it. Hopefully everybody sees this hangs together. It's a lot of parts, but it hangs together and it all connects.
John, I want to capitalize on what Joshua was kind of leading into. If somebody on this webinar was viewing, or somebody that's currently on here or viewing it online decides I'm going to take the EOS seriously starting tomorrow, what's the first 3 important actions they should commit? I was actually going to hold my book up, but I gave it to a client the other day, so I don't have the book anymore.
Yeah. It's good you said that. So what are some resources? So we have, first, EOS Worldwide has a website, eosworldwide.com. You can go there. You can get a copy of Traction or Get a Grip. Traction goes to the tools. Get a Grip approaches EOS from the side of a business owner implementing EOS, but that'll help you get clarity on that. And I'll just go to the punchline. You can also call me, and I'm happy to talk to you and explain. And if I'm not a good resource for you, get you somebody who is. And depending on where you're at and where you're working from. So does that help? Yeah. There's also other resources out there that I always like to share. And that first is 12-week year. 12-week year is around the 90-day world, and I think it does a really great job of explaining weekly accountability and putting structure in. Frankly, and hopefully nobody from EOS Worldwide strikes me down with lightning here, but I think it does a better job than we do about that weekly accountability. So I think that's a great resource. Mentioned about a couple times about driving this down into your organization and creating this culture. The last book, Creating a Lean Culture by David Mann, is excellent at helping you drive it down. It really highlights that tiered approach and making sure that the metrics, the process, the times, the meetings are structured appropriately for every level. You're not going to have a level 10 meeting for 90 minutes with the service truck guys, or if you're a construction company, with your carpenters. But you certainly should be talking to them a couple times a month and letting them problem solve and help solve their issues, because that's the key to them starting to take ownership. And when they own stuff, your life gets exponentially better and good. Any other questions?
Any thoughts on tailoring this to like a solo business?
It's a little complicated for a solo business, but resource that would be great is eMyth. And that kind of helps you. It's very much like EOS and gets you thinking about the pieces and parts. I will say that I've had a couple of clients that came to me because they saw they wanted to grow into EOS, and they said, I'm going to start with EOS and set my structure and work toward it. Granted, they had a lot of seats. They were sitting in most of the seats. It's usually two people. But yeah, that's where it applies for you. But eMyth, if you're a solopreneur and you want to stay a solopreneur, I'd recommend you do eMyth.
Okay.
It just really, really drives home and sets it up and makes it a little more amenable to you. But so yeah.
John, I got a question as a leadership coach, right? So I got to ask leadership questions. So what changes do you most commonly see in owners themselves as they implement this in their organizations? Because I know from past clients that I've seen in chaos and going to EOS, it's a drastic change. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it isn't about letting go. And some just are like so relieved as they start to realize they have a team and helping them with that. And then some kind of you have to talk off the ledge, and then they come down because suddenly they're like, how does this run without me? And I used to do all these things, and you have to make it okay. And we recognize that we've got some tools to do that around this. But yeah, it is amazing when they start to realize it. The third part of this, and I'm sure you've seen this as a leadership coach, you got these folks that they started the business, they became really successful, and they have this business, and they hate it. And I have, it sounds cliche, but I've had more than one person say to me, if I can't get control, I'm going to sell this.
Almost every client I have, that's how the initial conversation goes. Yep.
Yeah. And so now you show them a way to get back to what they do best and how they, and it is just, like I said, we all work for money and have a job, but there are jobs where you just feel relieved and you have people telling you how their life changes. Coaching, EOS is like that. But again, yeah, it's that change in them. The other side, the flip side, is that people start to take ownership. You really see people blossom and they start to come into their own, and really it changes how they think about stuff.
And they feel like they're part of the process. Yeah, I always mention structure equals freedom. We, especially with veterans that come from a structured environment in the military, well-oiled machine, maybe not the perfect machine, but it's a well-oiled machine. Then they come out into the real world, which, is just chaos. And it creates that frustration with them. And then as they're starting up a business and they go from chaos to struggling and they're starting to get some successes, that's where they really need EOS to take them from the struggling perspective to the consistency perspective.
Right. Right. No, and that's what makes, veterans perfect for starting their own business is they understand structure. They understand it's not perfect, but they also, we were taught to catch all the balls. To not get down and say it's not my job. No, not my job was never the answer that you gave or you accepted. And so you get those three things together, and then you give them a structure around to do this and help them then convey that and teach that to the people that work for them. And it's dynamite because you bring that energy and power.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've got a question about the visionary aspect of it because we've got a
Mm.
3-member LLC that we're putting together, that we put together, and I kind of consider myself the visionary of the product, but um, there's wanting to be input. Like, is it possible to share a 3-way visionary, and then everybody gets broken? Because we all have our kind of jobs. There's a financial expert, I guess you could say, on our team, and then we have someone that does a lot of operations, like on an executive level, and then I've been doing a lot of the relations and the creating, I guess you could say, of the
Mhm.
product. But they want a lot of input on
Yeah.
it,
Oh,
and
and you should at that level, you know.
okay,
And here's the thing: don't get hung up on title. Get hung up on
yeah,
function. Realizing
okay,
you're all bringing something, understanding that in this stage of infancy, you really are in. When you're getting together and making some decisions as a group, you're really at an owner's box.
hmm,
We're all owners, but we all have things that we're responsible for delivering to the team. And that responsibility for creativity doesn't, it says I need to coordinate with everybody else.
yeah,
Okay. A lot of people, marketing sales, so people like, I want to do business development. Well, people in other functions are saying, but I'm doing that and this, and that, and you are.
yeah,
There's one person who owns top line, just to pick on something, top line. But I depend on all of you to help me.
yeah,
And I need you to do leads and bring all this stuff. There's no reason that your accountant can't be bringing business leads to you. Okay.
yeah.
That
I
kind of thing.
gotcha.
But as you grow, it'll become more evident. You'll have to make some decisions.
Hmm.
But you'll always have the owner's box over here. And
We
that's
we
what,
have. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I'm just saying you'll come together and act as owners, but there'll be actually the visionary integrator and functions. And you got to wrestle through that and talk about it. There's
I
just
gotcha.
no automatic. And I'll say this, you're going to have a little constructive conflict. That's good. Work through
Yeah,
it. Speak your mind. You've known each other forever. If you can't have raw truth, then you're not going to be successful. So just work through that.
yeah. Well, we haven't had an issue with conflict necessarily on the separation of it. It's just I didn't know if having the entire team as a visionary and then breaking down into it would actually have any kind of conflict or anything.
No, 2 = 0.
Gotcha.
And that's the thing to remember. And that's why it forces you. EOS is about making decisions, but getting input and hearing and listening and getting an ownership. And sometimes you got to make that's an easy decision, but it's a wrong decision. Okay. And I will say one last thing. And at a very small, I think Mike brought this up. In a very small company, when there's 2 or 3, you're confusing those roles with being in the owner's box of owners and dreams and things you want to do. Your strength is going to be everybody doing their piece and everybody working together in that. And that's how you're going to grow to the point where you have people around you. And I don't know what your business is or how big you want to be, but then you get to having enough people to have a leadership team. Um, my third client was someone I had worked for before I became an implementer. It was 2 men. Their partner, the firm, one partner wanted to start EOS. The second partner said, "Why we can't afford that, and it's just us." And they had a whole group of outsourced people, and so the second guy and I talked, and I agreed with him. You're right. If you, as 2 people, can't talk to each other, and you need me to come, me referee, you need to have another. You need somebody smarter than me, you know. But it was when the second partner and I said, you know what, we need to make this a performing asset. Now let's start it with EOS, and from there we got together and we created the accountability chart and all their core values and did that. A year later, they had 5 people in a leadership team, doubled their sales, and it's off and running. It's a great business today. So yeah. Any other questions?
Well, if we don't have any other questions, I have one more for you. What is the number one mistake businesses make when trying to implement EOS on their own, and how can they avoid it?
They failed to address. I'll just tell 2. They they fail to really address the people issue, and they don't follow through with it, and they don't want to make the hard decisions. The second one is they misunderstand the rock setting, and they get confused with to-dos and rocks. And in part of that rock setting is also part of what I think I help you with is getting you focused, get you. I give you permission to not do everything. At the same time, I call you out when you wimp.
Yep.
So if you're like, I'm going to do training, I'm going to say, Donovan, you're going to do training, but what's the reward going to be?
Yep.
Because completing training is not going to get me down the road. Completing training and getting 10 more clients, or completing training and cutting my lead time in half, that's going to do something for me. So I need to do that with you. So those two things and that happen. And
So is that similar to like a milestone then?
the
Like an
rocks are
individual? Okay.
no, the rocks are well, good question. Because inside of rocks, you need to have a milestone. This week I'm going to do this. This week I'm going to do that. That's how I can tell, and that's why I highlight. You see, 12-week year. 12-week year does a really good job of explaining that breakup. We just kind of tell you to do it, and that. But yeah, so those are the milestones. Weekly milestones help you get quarterly rocks done. Quarterly rocks help you get to your 1-year plan. Uh, but people get confused with rocks and that, and it's normal. And that, we help you with that. And that's why it takes literally takes typically around 2 years, because we're focusing, prioritizing. But we're with you 5 times a year. We're not with you every day kind of thing. We don't move into your house with you. Okay. Because this is the key for you, is to do this and learn and us help you. Because what the hell do you learn if I tell you what to do? And of course I've been doing this forever. We mentioned I've been in business longer than I've been married. I've been married 40 years, okay? You know, so of course I have an answer, or I know somebody who would help you. So what the hell do you gain when I tell you what to do? You need to do it and struggle. But other part of this is, when you need help, call me, because most people just need 5 or 10 minutes of coaching, conversation, discussion. You know, because they just need somebody to have a sounding board. And that sometimes it's 20 minutes. But there, does that help? Um, I have a couple closing thoughts that I'd like to leave people with, if I may, if we're ready.
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. So first, you can't run a great operating organization on multiple operating systems or without one. So you got to choose one. If it's not EOS, pick another one that resonates with you. But not having only one system, you're wasting a lot of time, because you're arguing with your leadership team about, how do we make decisions? How do we organize? So that's key. Second thing is, dare to dream that you can get everything you want. You just got to decide you can. You got to make a plan. And that's where business operating systems come into play. The last thing, just a couple things to think about as you're going back to work. First, what is your business going to would look like if every employee shared a common vision and plan? How would your business and your life change if your entire team was 100% right people in the right seats, great at what they do, and core fit, and they were following documented core processes? Hmm. And last, how successful would you be in terms of profit, your life, your just continuity in your business, in that if everyone was executing on your shared vision with discipline and accountability, they're achieving traction. And my only point to you is, EOS will help you do that. But you have to make your own commitment to do the work, to follow the process, and then strengthen the 6 key components of your business. And thank you for letting me share, and great questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John, for sharing your time, your expertise, and your insights with us today. Thank you again to everybody that joined us as well. We hope you're leaving with practical ideas and inspiration to help grow your business. If you want to learn more or connect with one of our business counselors, visit vetbiz.com or follow us on LinkedIn or our YouTube, where we will post this later on to stay up to date on future trainings and events. Again, thank you for being here. Special thank you to John Gross for sharing so many valuable takeaways. And we look forward to seeing you at the next VetBiz event or webinar.
Hey, thank you for having me. Have a
Thanks,
great
John.
day.
Thank you.